Welcome to Telarus Studios in Sandy, Utah. We're here in Studio 19 coming to you live from behind the desk. Our segment today is with Bigleaf, and we're welcoming Eric Brooker, the Senior Director of Channel Sales at Bigleaf. Eric, why don't you say hello to the crowd?
Hey everyone, I appreciate the opportunity, Roger. Thanks for having me today.
I love these segments with you, and while I know that these are formal and scripted, my guess is we'll go a little off script at some point today, so thanks for being here.
Yeah, going off script is actually the plan.
That is the plan. We actually wrote that down. So I'm thrilled to have you here. You know what? It's been an interesting time. You and I talk about this on a fairly regular basis, but before we get into the details, I'm just always curious how people are doing. So, why don't you update the crew here on how your family's doing and how Bigleaf is doing, just as we deal with unprecedented times.
It's been an interesting time, I think, for all of us. It's been a good time for us as a family. It's been fun to reflect. All those things as a family that we've wanted to do, I've run out of excuses to not do because I'm not traveling. So family is doing well. Bigleaf, we've had two of the greatest months ever as it relates to incoming new revenue. So from a production standpoint, we're doing really actually quite well despite everything that's going on in the world right now.
That's great to hear, and I think you were positioned to be part of that. Before we jump into the products you're selling, though, how are the Bigleaf employees? Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you guys responded to the changes and how you supported employees? Because I always find that interesting, and that's actually been a moment of hope I've had with this whole event, is that I've seen companies really step up, and I know Bigleaf is one of those. So what are they doing to help employees?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. I think I've seen other companies. You learn a lot about a company through a crisis like this. And I've learned a lot about Bigleaf. I've been a work-at-home employee for the last 8 years, so this is something I'm very accustomed to. We have a lot of our staff based out of Portland, Oregon at our corporate headquarters, and everyone immediately was given the tools that they need. It wasn't just, hey, everyone grab your laptop and go home. It was, let us know those things that you need to care for you, care for your family. Certainly from just a basic standpoint, a lot of people went back to the office after a few weeks, took their monitors. We joke, everyone took their chairs and so forth. But we've had a lot of times where Bigleaf's bought us lunch. Bigleaf bought me dinner just a few weeks ago for the family. I know they did that for all of their employees. It's just these little ways in this crisis, in this pandemic, that they're recognizing us as people and they're caring for us in a really meaningful way. So aside from Bigleaf, it's been great. I know you guys have done some great things at Telarus as well, but you've learned a lot about culture of a company through this pandemic for sure.
I agree, and it's been nice to watch companies like Telarus and Bigleaf and others, how active they've been to help people. That's promising. That gives me hope, I suppose. I know you guys pivoted fast to Bigleaf Home Office, and your ability to do that proves you're an agile company. But why don't you tell me where that stands and kind of where the future of that home office product lies?
Yeah, so back in March, things started to change very quickly, as we all know. On a Friday afternoon, we started talking about how can we care for employees of Bigleaf, how can we care for the segment of population that has had to go home. And for what it's worth, that number in January, there were about 4.7 million Americans working from home. That number today, give or take, depending on the mandate of each state, is roughly 85 million. So we went from 4.7 million Americans working from home to 85 million Americans working from home. So Bigleaf Home Office.
I heard that number. Pause for just a second. That's astronomical. I mean, I didn't realize it was that big. So that's a little mind blowing for me for just a minute. So yeah. 4 million to 85 million in basically an instant, right? It was days or weeks, right?
Yeah, and what we're finding is that number is currently about the same, but there's a lot of evidence, there's a lot of suggestions from large investment firms, from surveys that suggest that we're never going to get near 4.7 million again, that we're probably going to linger in the 20 to 30 million range, even post-COVID. So what we did, again, we started talking about it on a Friday, and Monday morning, we had an all-hands meeting where we rolled out Bigleaf Home Office. And yes, we're agile. effectively it's the same piece of equipment. So we're leveraging the technology that we already have. The problem that home users are having is at the present moment, this meeting is my largest priority. I need to make sure that this meeting is a seamless interaction, much like your agents need to make sure that when they're selling to end users or end users talking to their end customers. The problem is when we're working from home, we have other applications going on. Our spouse may be working from home. Netflix is probably happening because it's still summer. Disney Plus, those applications are important because they keep our kids at bay while we're doing things like this, but this needs to be the priority. So Bigleaf Home Office is really geared towards any employee that needs to prioritize business critical applications like voice and video over all the other applications going on in the network. And I'll tell you, the thing that really surprised me when we rolled it out that Monday morning in March, I anticipated it being a VP level or director level solution. And what it's turned out to be is we're selling to a lot of contact centers. We're selling to a lot of customer service. We're looking at universities across the country right now that are having conversations about employing thousands of teachers from their home going into this next school year. So it's been fascinating. We've got the 1s and 2 opportunities that need just a couple devices at home, all the way up to thousands of sites as well.
So if I'm a partner, I'm trying to figure out how to help my customers through this. I probably don't have, I probably don't have them coming to me and saying, "I'd like to buy some SD-WAN, please." They're probably complaining about certain things. And what you're saying is for them to focus on how do I isolate my work traffic from my home traffic and still maintain a quality connection and a quality experience. Because we have been patient with dogs barking and choppy connections, but that still doesn't facilitate the workflow that we're trying to get done, right?
I think what we're finding out in talking to the end user community as well as the partner community is there is a level of, I know your 4-year-old's going to walk in the middle of a really important call. I know the dog's going to bark or someone's going to ring the doorbell. Those are not controllable scenarios. What is controllable is the user experience. And that customer that you're selling to or that you're doing a telemedicine consult with expects a seamless experience like they were live in front of you. And we have the technology out there. To your point, though, customers aren't asking because they don't know that this technology in the home office exists. They're familiar with SD-WAN at the office. The questions that we need to be asking is, what's your experience like working from home? And when you get through, well, the dog barks and the 4-year-old walks in on occasion, well, how are your Zoom sessions? We sold you Ring Central a couple of years ago. How's that experience at home? And what you're going to find out is the experience is not generally seamless. And it's not Zoom, it's not Ring Central that's causing those problems. It's a network issue at your home that was never built for, again, we'll go back to that number, 85 million users working from home.
And so that's just created pressure on those networks that have to be adjusted. As I look at that and think about what you're talking through, it's obviously these devices have served you well during the pandemic. A lot of people ask what about the new normal? I'm not sure we know what the new normal is, but the long-term impacts of this, you mentioned 25 million stay at home. What other long-term impacts do you anticipate, or what research are you seeing that is driving some of your product development?
So I read a statistic the other day that 110,000 businesses have closed since March. Businesses that stay afloat are going to have to be nimble. They're going to have to get very creative. In doing that, there was an IDC survey, I believe it was, that says a company can save upwards of $11,000 per year per employee by simply sending their employees home part-time. The real estate industry is changing in the commercial sector because people are moving home. That number of 20 to 25, maybe even 30 million people working from home permanently is going to be an issue. So not only from an SD-WAN perspective, so forgive me for thinking outside of this session here, but there's an opportunity for the channel community to address a larger issue of SaaS-based applications that customers had on-premise solutions for before, and they can just tie in SD-WAN to all those other SaaS applications. So I hate to be an opportunist, but there really is an opportunity here to care for people in to your point, whatever this new norm ends up being.
And as I'm so unsure of what's going to happen, what are the pricing models that you guys have rolled out to make this easier for companies to understand?
So both at the office, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that we still have a standard office solution. Many folks that are using at-home solutions are still deploying a standard office solution to support the VPN traffic. Before I give you the pricing, I think it's important to recognize we don't know when this is going to end, right? I mean, there's a hope that we all wake up tomorrow, COVID's gone, no signs of it coming back, and everyone gets back to the old normal. But we don't know. And so I think it's important to note our solution starts as a month-to-month service. So that first day, that Monday in March, we addressed, again, we talk about culture a lot. We addressed how can we care for society in this time? And it was, well, we don't know when this is going to end. So let's roll it out as a month-to-month solution. So, if this ends in November and half of your staff decides to go back, call Bigleaf, ship the devices back, and you're back in business as you were. So there's a lot of potential with that. So you're solving a problem now that might not be a problem in 3 to 6 months. But the solution as a whole starts at $99 a month. Now, I want to back up a minute because a lot of agents, myself included, prior to coming to Bigleaf, we were selling SD-WAN as a subset of your connectivity costs. So we have conversations that sound like, here's your $99 a month Comcast circuit, here's your $199 CenturyLink circuit, and here's your $99 SD-WAN solution. And that's a hard thing to swallow for an IT director. But when we go back to SaaS, businesses 50 to 100 employees on average are spending about $15,000 a month in software as a service. So that $99 a month or $199 a month SD-WAN solution is an investment to protect that $13,000 to $15,000 a month SaaS expense.
And that expense you're talking about is their contact center software, their phone system software, their productivity applications, their
CRM
applications, their HR pieces. That makes sense. And I guess call centers are a pretty good target for this. If I have to send all my call center agents home, I'm less patient when I'm calling an 800 number and trying to fix my broken fridge or whatever that is, right? So again, another place to look for ways we can help call center. What other verticals do you see where you've really had an impact like that?
Yeah, we're seeing it all over the place. We're seeing it in organizations like Telarus that have just sent folks home. We're seeing it in the agent community. We're seeing it, oddly, we saw it in a nail salon where folks were working from home. We're seeing it in nearly every industry because the expectation, to your point, from a customer service perspective, is that experience when I call a retail location or a restaurant or anything else is that it's seamless. And that's really the benefit of SD-WAN.
Yeah, and I think you're onto something. Even if we were to go and we had a cure tomorrow, my son works for a SaaS company, and they've decided to come into the office 2 days a week, right? So they're still going to be moving back and forth, and that mobility aspect is going to be crucial. So, it's a crowded space. SD-WAN. There are lots of offerings. What are driving people to choose Bigleaf, and what are the things we should be making sure we reemphasize to our customers?
Yeah, so it is a really crowded space. The one thing I'll say is there's still a large contingent of partners that aren't selling it. And this came to mind the other day when one of our competitors got acquired for nearly $1 billion. The space is relevant. The space is incredibly relevant. So if you're not having the SD-WAN conversation, whether it be Bigleaf or one of our competitors, your competitor is going to start having that conversation. But in terms of how we differentiate ourselves, we're a simple install. So when you think of Susie in accounting or John in sales, we're talking home users that can install and plug and play. I moved into my new home May 1st. I actually asked my 4-year-old to install Bigleaf. Everything's color coded. It's a seamless install. I'll joke for just a minute. Scott Forbush leverages Bigleaf networks at his home office. And if Scott Forbush can install Bigleaf networks, I think just about anybody can. So I think that's a key component in the home office space. In a more traditional office space where people are leveraging us, is we sit outside of the firewall. meaning all of those manual policies that you have created to be HIPAA compliant or PCI compliant, you don't have to readdress those with Bigleaf Networks. Again, we're a quick install. You can leverage the state-of-the-art technology that you acquired 12, 14, 18 months ago with your firewall. We sit outside of that and make things a little bit easier from a compliancy perspective.
Wow, that's impressive, the install. By the way, I heard Scott competed on who's smarter than a fifth grader and didn't perform well. So I think you're spot on there. But that's good to know that it's so if I'm trying to deploy this across my company, the instructions are going to be fairly easy for an IT group or to send to my home users and be able to plug those in and not struggle too much as I try to figure that out.
Yeah, it's a 5-step process. The first step is unbox everything, plug it in. The fifth step is go to a website and make sure if you can get to that website, everything's working just properly. So it's literally a 3-step process to get Bigleaf installed. It took me about 5 minutes to get it installed originally. It's just a simple process.
That's incredible. To continue what partners are going to care about, right? They're sitting there listening to us and thinking about why don't Bigleaf's always been channel friendly. You guys have been tied into our channel. You've been supportive of that. What are you doing to enhance that and assure people that that's your commitment going forward?
Well, so I think it's important to note that not only are we channel friendly, we're channel only. I was talking to someone the other day who is a VoIP provider getting into the channel with 20 some odd direct sales reps. And if I'm an agent, that generally makes those folks nervous, right? We are channel only, we're channel focused. We have now channel managers across the country, and we just rolled out a partner development manager across the country as well. And the idea being that we want to further enable the partners, that this isn't a matter of just, hey, we want to give you the quote so you can go sell the deal. We want to enable the partner community to be more aware of how to identify an SD-WAN opportunity, of where Bigleaf fits. We want to talk about things like market development funds. We want to talk about things like a certified partner program. So that partner development manager group that we've just rolled out is going to be instrumental, not just to our success as an organization, but to the partner community going forward.
And we obviously care about that. We love to hear when suppliers understand the power of that group and the sales they can deliver. To pivot just a little bit, one of our fastest areas of growth is security, and security tends to be brought up whenever you talk about SD-WAN, right? It's one of the beginning conversations. Why don't you talk to me about your security approach and the way you've done that, and if that's changing or staying the same, and kind of your methodology there?
So our product's going to continue to evolve. For those that haven't heard, nearly a year ago now, we took $21 million in funding, which has certainly helped through the crisis. But we're going to continue to grow and develop our product and enhance our product. Our firewall policy, our security policy up to this point has been our customers have already bought state-of-the-art technology. Many of the partners that are watching this video right now have sold their customers security technology, firewalls. They've sold them in the last 12, 18 to 24 months. Setting up security protocols and security policies for an organization can be a daunting task. We don't want to have to readdress security policies that this company has just put in place 12 months earlier. So again, we sit outside of the firewall. That eases the install, but it eases everything because you don't have to recreate manual policies on an SD-WAN device to mirror that of a security device that you already have in place.
So then you would meet the compliance requirements of the standard HIPAA and Sarbanes-Oxley and other laws out there that might be in place, or compliance issues. You're not going to.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here as a partner. I'm trying to think. Okay, how do I find these opportunities? You mentioned some applications. Do you have certain applications you've tested deeper than others, or is it really across the board any SaaS application? Or is there, if I've sold maybe some of the other products available from Telarus, should I go look for those? And what are some of those ones you've tested with?
So I looked at a list when I first started of all the applications that we connect to, if you will. We're a site to cloud SD-WAN manufacturer. The way in which we have deployed our data centers, we actually sit at the core of the internet. So those big addresses in the data center space that we all know where the internet starts and ends. We sit in all the major data centers across the US and some across the world. You know who else sits there? Every other SaaS application that you might address, from VoIP carriers to video suppliers like a Zoom or a Ring Central, GoToMeeting, those folks, Salesforce.com. We sit at the core of the internet with all those folks. So we're literally in the same facility as them, which makes a hop from one cage to another very, very easy.
So does the device make an assumption? Let's go back to your home user. If I'm using Zoom or Ring Central or LogMeIn or whoever that might be, and my kid is trying to watch TikToks, which is their favorite activity, the system already knows to prioritize those other packets, or I have to go in and set up those rules and define how that works.
Well, I love that we're off script because that is a question I was hoping you would ask, but we didn't talk about. So we actually, different from most SD-WAN suppliers, we have a patent on this technology. We automatically prioritize business critical applications, and we have a stack by protocol. Now we can manually redo things on an as needed basis. As an example, TikTok's a priority. We can recreate a policy for that. But generally speaking, everything's automated by application type. So here's a really good example. I'm a Zoom meeting guy. I do what seems like endless Zooms on a daily and weekly basis. If I had another SD-WAN manufacturer deployed in my home office, I would create a policy strictly for Zoom. The problem is when you or a Patrick Oborn or an agent send me a GoToMeeting, if I don't have a policy created for that in another SD-WAN manufacturer, I'm just not going to be prioritized. Whereas with Bigleaf, we recognize that as a video application, whether it be Skype, Facebook video, GoToMeeting, Zoom, whatever it is, we're going to recognize that as a priority because it's a video traffic, and we're going to prioritize it accordingly.
That is important because, and I'm a nerd, but I actually counted, and I was on 12 different platforms yesterday. So that's a lot of calls. First of all, I can't imagine why anybody wanted to talk to me, but 12 different platforms. So I don't have to worry about that. If it's a standard business application, I'm taken care of, whether it's Google or Office 365 or any of the engines. But if I have a custom app that I built, that is specific to my company or my industry, I can go add that and move that to the top as well.
Yeah, great point.
Not necessary for most of those applications.
Correct. And we give you a single pane of glass where you can see how those applications are performing as well.
That's incredible. So what I'm hearing today is it's easy to install. You've got a flexible pricing model. At least 25 million people are never coming back, right? You've been home for most of, I don't know when the last time you traveled was, but you have a lot of kids. Have you had any more since the pandemic, or are we sticking with the standard number?
We are sticking with the standard number of 7, although I do have one of my favorite kids sits in my office each and every day. So I just want to make sure that for those of you that miss Roger, you too can have your own selfie with Roger at your home.
Wow. Thanks for that. I'll hear about that. So that's, it's great to hear that Bigleaf is doing well. It's great to hear that they've been able to support companies. What else is coming in 2020? Because I'm trying to figure out what this year is going to look like. Can we get a do-over, or maybe we're going to just adjust and keep going? But what do you think is going to happen over the next few months?
So I think we're going to continue to expand. Our product's going to continue to evolve. We're going to have some really exciting announcements in the latter part of the year. Our focus right now has been home office and our standard office. We're going to have some higher gig thresholds, but candidly, there's not a lot of people in the office right now. So we're going to continue to develop and evolve. I think we are going to have some security conversations before the end of the year, which is really exciting. But we're going to continue to invest in the channel. We'll continue to hire channel managers, partner development managers. We're investing in a partner portal that'll roll out in the not too distant future, as well as an LMS. So again, our focus is to not just sell with partners, but enable partners to be more self-sufficient and more enabled to sell SD-WAN and Bigleaf going forward.
That sounds like an awesome end of the year, or we're making the best of it at least, right?
Make the best of it.
Well, by the way, when I met you, I'll never forget. You found out my son was going to Arizona State, and the next time I came from a trip, you had gone in Utah, bought Arizona State gear, which was spectacular. So you know how to connect with people. I'm always curious, who is your favorite Telarus owner?
Wow. Can I take a mulligan on that one?
No, I had to throw that out there to see if you were crazy enough to answer. I just
I
want to know who your favorite is.
Yeah, I'll answer it in that the same way in which I answer with my kids. When my son, who's 14, does something nice around the house, I say, Owen, you are my favorite 14-year-old. So I will say that Patrick is my favorite Patrick, Richard is my favorite Richard, and Adam is my favorite Adam at Telarus.
And while that's cowardly, I would have expected no other answer.
Let me turn the table. Who's your favorite Telarus owner?
I don't have a favorite Telarus owner, but Eric's my favorite Big Leaf manager, so an executive. So we'll go with that. I was going to ask you who your favorite SPDM was, but I think that's just fun trouble. So, you know what? Final thoughts as I think about if I'm a partner and maybe I haven't engaged with Big Leaf before. What is my next step? Do I need to order a box for myself? Do I need to see a live demo? What are the logical way that I get started, and how do I engage quickly and effectively?
Yeah, so I would say we have a lot of agents who tend to call us and they've heard something from a partner like, well, I already have a firewall, so SD-WAN's not a fit, or I don't have the capability to deploy this, over 50 locations myself. They think of Big Leaf, but ideally they get to know us, right? So we can deploy at your home office. We have a program for that. But ideally we're going to educate you first. We want to get to know your business to see if you're a fit for Big Leaf, and we want to introduce you to Big Leaf to see if Big Leaf and our SD-WAN solution is a part of your go-forward strategy. I will say, if you're selling any cloud-based applications, whether it be voice or video or anything of the sorts, you have to start having the SD-WAN conversation. Certainly, we'd love to have it with you at Big Leaf, but with the hockey stick of SaaS that 2020 has created, this is a time where they need to protect the investment that they're making in SaaS, and SD-WAN is certainly the way to do that.
I certainly probably hadn't thought of it that way as I think about a customer. If I'm spending $15,000 per user on software, making sure that software runs correctly is actually going to be critical. So, as we wrap up, we want to thank you for your partnership. Big Leaf and Telarus have always had an amazing relationship and partnership, and I know our partners are thrilled with the way they're engaging with you and their interactions with you. So, as we come, final thoughts before we tell the group to go out and sell more SD-WAN.
Yeah, so from a final thoughts perspective, I would ask you, if you haven't engaged with Big Leaf, to call one of your competitors, one of your friendly sub-agent competitors, call Telarus and ask them what their experience has been. Having been here about a year now, knowing Big Leaf for the last 5 years or so, in large numbers, everybody loves Big Leaf. We have a great product. Occasionally we'll hear, one thing or another, but that tends to follow with, but you guys resolved it when I called care in 5 minutes. So we have an incredible reputation that we've held since 2014 when we started in the agent community. And we have that reputation for a reason. So I would just, again, ask you to reach out to Telarus or one of your friendly competitors to ask about Big Leaf, or so you could certainly reach out to us directly.
That's incredible, and I'll echo it. Feedback is always positive. You've been challenged here first on the race to the race to the summit. Big Leaf's been a big sponsor there as well. So as you watch this video, take Eric up on his challenge. Come and give it a try, and know that if you're not selling this to your customers, somebody's going to be talking to them about that as we deal with unparalleled problems inside of companies, and they're trying to make sure their spend is accurate. This is going to be one of those areas you need to understand and control. So thank you so much for your partnership, Eric. Thank you for your friendship. I can't wait to see you in person soon and share a beverage, but until then, stay safe. And that is a wrap from Behind the Desk with Big Leaf Networks in Studio 19 in Sandy City, Utah. Thank you all for playing the race to the summit, and stay safe. Thank you.